Hey everyone, welcome back to Firsthand Globetrotting. Buenos Aires is a great city to visit. It's huge, full of interesting architecture, great food, and so many things to see and do. But if you want to slow down a bit and escape the big city for a day, there's a great option only an hour away, the Parana Delta. It's a waterway made up of a maze of tiny rivers and streams surrounding tiny islands. Definitely a great place to go if you want to escape to nature. But how do you get there? There were plenty of tours that left directly from Buenos Aires, but honestly, none of them seemed all that great to me. Instead, I chose to take more of a do-it-yourself approach to the trip. The first step is getting to the Delta. The best way to do that is to go to the town of Tigre. It borders the Parana Delta, so there are lots of boats and tours that lead from there. You can take a train from the Retiro train station in Buenos Aires. It's a little bit north of the Plaza de Mayo, and you'll know you're there when you see the monumental tower. It looks like a big British clock tower in the middle of a park, so it's really easy to spot. You can buy your tickets to Tigre at one of the counters inside the station, and the tickets were pretty cheap. Just catch the train on one of the platforms, and you're on your way to Tigre. As I said, the train ride takes about an hour, and you'll get out at Tigre Station. It was a really nice station surrounded by flowers and palm trees, so it already felt a lot quieter than Buenos Aires. Tigre has plenty of Parana Delta tours to choose from big boats with lots of other people to private tours in small boats. I went with a private small boat tour from Safari Delta. They have a stand down at Tigre's other train station, Delta Station. It's about a 10-minute walk from where I got out. One of the things I really liked about Safari Delta was that they used a small boat, so we were able to go to places the bigger boats just couldn't get to. You'll probably have a great time no matter what tour you take, but I personally really like Safari Delta. The first part of the tour takes you down the Tigre River, so it gives you a different view of the city. Lots of interesting things to see, like the amusement park on one side of the river and a sinking ship over on the other side. But it isn't long before you start pulling away from the city and start getting out into the Delta. You start turning down smaller and smaller waterways and just get surrounded by nature on every side. Remember what I said about the benefits of a small boat? See how shallow and narrow the streams are at some places? Plus you have the trees leaning over and almost touching you. It's really nice just to sit still in the water. It almost makes you forget how close you are to Buenos Aires. The tiny little streams are fun, but one of my favorite things to do was to drive out into the Rio de la Plata. As you get out there, you start to see some of the bigger boats out there, huge flocks of birds flying around, but the highlight was getting to stand in the water hundreds of meters from the nearest shore. You really don't expect the water to be that shallow when you get out of the boat, so it's a really interesting experience turning around in the water and seeing that you're nowhere near land. Definitely not something I would have been able to do on a big boat tour. After that, we drove back into the Delta to visit some of the more populated islands in there. As you can see, there are houses and cottages all around, accessible only by boat. There are even some tiny towns in there. The one we stopped at had a restaurant where we got a very typical Argentine meal, a big piece of grilled meat. The town even had a gas station, a little walking path, and a small footbridge between the islands. Very cool. If I ever go back, I definitely want to rent a house out there for a couple of days. Overall, I highly recommend getting out and exploring the Parana Delta. I spent about 4 or 5 hours out there on the water and loved every minute of it. It's pretty easy to get there from Buenos Aires and lets you take a nice train ride, so it's a great day trip to take. If you have any questions about Tigre or the Parana Delta, let me know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, and of course, click the subscribe button down below. Follow Firsthand Globe on Twitter and Firsthand Globetrotting on Instagram to see where I'm headed to next. And don't forget, it's an incredible world out there, so pick up your passport and do some firsthand globetrotting of your own.